What is CapRate?
These cap rates are calculated by dividing the property's net property income and property assets value.
Welcome to the YouTube channel. So it's all comfortable, man. I mean, like, let's get in on this. So, hey, let's be real. Today we're going to talk about all jargon explained when it comes to short-term rentals. I know there's a lot of little fancy words out there like STR, BRRRR, cash on cash, COC, DOC, POC. Now I'm just saying some C's. And we got, ooh, maybe I should move over here.
One eternity later.
And welcome to this random YouTube channel. What YouTube channel is this? I don't even know. What? But today we're talking about all things short-term rental explained. So I'm talking about STR, I'm talking about BRRRR, I'm talking about cash on cash, I'm talking about arbitrage, I'm talking about all the things that they like to talk about in the short-term rental space. Airbnb, Verbo, Booking.com. I don't know what else to say. All right, well, first, hey, if you didn't know some of these terms, I just want to be able to really essentially just tell you what they are. STR. STR is short-term rentals. Stands for short-term rentals. So really it just means anything that's going to be rented out for less than 30 days. So it's typically less than 30 days, anywhere from, a couple nights, 2 nights, just like how you would a normal hotel. That's when people say, hey, do you want that short-term rental? It usually just means, yes, I want to stay at a nightly rate. And so a lot of times you'll hear the difference between a long-term rent and a short-term rental. You go in, well, you get in there and you rent it out for a short-term rental. Long-term rent is typically going to be anything longer than 30 days. A lot of times it's associated with a long-term tenant, which is pretty basic. A lot of people know this. It's not any type of rocket science, let's be real. And if you notice this book is awesome. No, I'm not a sponsor. I just love this book. I just finished reading it. It's awesome. Amazing. Anyway. The second thing I love to be able to share is a big term out there, and I think BiggerPockets already made it big, which you probably know, BRRRR. It means Buy, Rehab, Refinance, Rent Out, Repeat. Or maybe even to Buy, Rehab, Rent, Refinance, Repeat. So that's a great little alliteration of R's. But that actually helps you get into a property, raise the value, and essentially when you refinance, you're trying to pull out tax-free money from it, essentially, is what you're trying to do, and then you rent it out. So it's a really great strategy. I've used it in quite a few of my own rentals, something that you can do really well with. Next one, I'm going to say is CapRate. What is CapRate? CapRate stands for capitalization rates. They are measures used to estimate and compare rates of returns on multiple commercial real estate properties. Cap rates are calculated by dividing the property's net property income and property assets value. So in short terms, it means you're going to get the value of the property. Say I'm buying a $100,000 property. The net income from this property is, let's say, $20,000. $20,000 divided by 100, or goes into 100 5 times. So there's going to be a likelihood of 20% cap rate. So that's what we're looking at. If I understand that correctly, that's a cap rate, which is not too bad of a situation. It works out pretty good, well, all that kind of good stuff. But one that's a little more on the actual short-term rental side. Now we're going back to the Airbnb and to all the renting out and short-term rentals, just like hotels and those little boutiques, is arbitrage. If you're watching this video, more than likely you've heard of arbitrage. And if you haven't, well, let me explain to you then. So when it comes to rental arbitrage, what someone will do is they'll go to an owner and they'll be like, yo, landowner, or sorry, not landowner, landlord, do you have a property that I can rent out and sublet and maybe lease it out to business travelers or Airbnb? This is a very common method that a lot of people like to use to get into Airbnb as a business. And they like to use this because all you have to do is pay first month's rent, last month's rent, security deposit. You have to buy the furniture, and then you pay the rent. So after that, it's all good. But they say as a lower money, a barrier of entry to get down, which a lot of people will like to go through this way because you don't have to get any credit. You don't have to go through a loan process. So it becomes a little easier for a lot of different people. So those are essentially the, if you will, types, the top five. I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4. No, it's not. And there's cash on cash return. So cash on cash return essentially is the money you put into an investment and versus the money that you get in return. So for example, if I buy a property at $100,000 and then say, okay, I'm going to put $20,000 down, and that property gives me a return, let's say of $10,000. Well, I get $10,000 back in my pocket after the first year, but I put $20,000. Well, that means I get a 50% cash on cash return. So that's something, is a metric I like to use a lot because I like to see how much of my money is working for me. If I could leverage over the loans and other things of that nature where I can put less down and get a better return, I love doing that because that makes the world go round. We got CapRate, which is your capitalization rate of what the value of the property is worth versus how much it's able to generate overall net income. And we have Arbitrage, which is you go to a property owner and you ask them, hey, can I rent this out on Airbnb or Vrbo or Booking.com and sublet it and give you a long-term rent and I'll take all the risk. And of course, cash on cash return. So these are just some of the fancy lingo. I thought I'd just do a quick little video and just share it, explain it, kind of talk about what it's all about. I know this isn't the very most professional type of surrounding right now. Now that you learned a little bit of the lingo, if you want to learn any of the strategies, feel free to click my link below for my free Airbnb masterclass, or you can watch my other videos. I have one here, which is all about arbitrage and what I think of it and the actual ins and outs of it. And I have one here, which is honestly my failures and my biggest struggles with short-term rentals and real estate investing in general and how I lost $80,000. So feel free to click any of these videos or click the free masterclass below and give me a little ring-a-ding-ding and subscribe now.